Welcome back to the Professional Lovers channel in a remote location.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear the waves in the background.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
you know that we're getting a little beach R&R, but we couldn't let you down by not having a recap to talk about this week.
Most definitely.
So here we
This
are.
week.
You may hear a little echo because we're on a balcony, so it may sound a little strange. That's all right. We're going to get right to talking about the Married at First Sight episode last night that we had to watch at 11 p.m. from 11 to 1 a.m. So I had to take a nap beforehand. Anyway, we did it, and let's
Yes.
start talking about it.
Let's do it.
Like we always do. We're talking about relationship issues as we see it through the lens of Married at First Sight couples who are trying to build their relationships. And I think this is the first season that I remember that all the couples are having issues.
Issues.
And
And it's communication.
most of it revolves around
Communication.
communication.
Yeah.
All the couples were answering certain questions that the experts had given them the answer about. Have you ever been in love? What does it take for you to fall in love? So they were essentially sharing their love styles, so to speak, with each other, even though they weren't labeled.
Right, but even in their explanation, I think all of them were reserved. I mean, they kept to me, I think their true feelings, they kept close to the chest and just didn't divulge what it takes for them to be in love. They indicated what they liked, but to get to that point, to say, to really feel as if you're truly in love with the person that you're with.
And the problem is that takes time.
It does.
But they don't have the luxury of time, so they're trying to get to know each other and fall in love, which you don't do. You grow into love. You don't fall into love. But all at the same time, kind of. So anyway, let's start talking about the first couple, Katina and Olajuwon. Now, I just have to say, Olajuwon pushes all of my triggers, personally.
He
Because
pushes anybody's triggers.
as the only girl in a family of 5 children, so 4 brothers, right in the middle, 2 older, 2 younger, growing up under parents who had the traditional gender role thing happening,
Yeah.
although, that's how they grew up, so that's what they know, and that's how we were growing up. Just think about it. As the only girl in a family of 4, that meant that all the inside chores were basically mine when it came
The
to,
women's role.
learning how to cook and blah, blah, blah. And the guys were always outside mowing the lawn and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I felt like I grew up in a masculine, chauvinistic type of household. Not that my brothers didn't have to do inside work, because we all had turns cleaning the kitchen and stuff like that. It was about the gender roles, though. And
thinking of the other side of that, being raised an only child by a single parent, my mother, and she worked. So those roles, those typical roles, didn't exist for me. So I don't even have a concept of, guys take out the garbage and women do the dishes and cooking. I'm like, I did it all.
Right.
Where does that fall into? And then again, it because we're going to go into this a little later on as well, regarding how you were brought up and how you were reared and what you're familiar with and how it bears in your overall thinking.
which is what Noi said, that when you marry somebody, you marry their inner child.
Right.
You marry their
Yes.
trauma. You marry how they
All of
grew
that.
up. You marry, the family. You marry everything about the background is wrapped up in that
Really.
person, and it informs how they think, how they process, what they believe, what their expectations are. And so Olajuwon Okay.
It makes me wonder how he grew up.
And this is one part of where I sort of understand what he's saying. That there are basic things that you generally learn as you grow. How to clean, but now the level of cleaning differs from family to family.
True.
But how to straighten up, how to clean, you assume you may learn how to grocery shop, but if you never had to do that when you were growing up, you would not know.
Exactly.
And as Katina said, I know how to shop for myself,
Yeah.
and I know how much I need, but I don't really know how to shop for other people. So, so you're making an assumption that everybody has learned basic skills to the same level
That you have, yeah, which is a mistake.
Yes.
Not unfortunate, but it's a mistake to assume that people know what you know.
And
have the expectation of that.
And if they don't, then there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows this.
Maybe you were just blessed in knowing that or finding it out at an early age. Or maybe it just stuck with you, because you felt a value in it. So
there are some people who can go to bed with that house dirty. If it's late and I'm tired, I'd rather get up in the morning and clean up.
Yeah.
There are people who leave their dishes in the sink and then get it later. And then there are people who are fastidious about getting it done right now, no matter what the time is. But this level of expectation that he has in his definition of a wife is really based around gender roles.
And it's her roles, whoever her may be, the gender female. Because I have yet to hear what he's bringing to the table as a partner. Now, just because you bought a house and you paid off your loans, okay, you took care of your history. Okay, fine. I pay my rent.
What does that have to do with being a partner? And when they asked each other, what does it take for you to fall in love? Katina said, partnership, someone who supports her, who's patient, who's loyal. Now, he talked about devotion and commitment, but it still centers around your commitment to me and my expectations of you. How committed are you to demonstrating what I expect?
Yeah.
And this whole thing about the cooking, and I expect a wife to cook for me, and not just cook, but cook gourmet type meals that they went and had as they cook together. And she's like, is this, I see that this is making you happy, and is this what you expect? And then it's kind of like, yeah, these kind of meals is what I expect. And I'll do it with you just so that you get trained, and then I expect to be able to step back and you just handle it. What?
We got a warped sense of future.
What? So I had a lot of problem with his tone.
And he's extremely condescending.
Extremely condescending. Because these are the duties that he expects to see in her. And to say love is not on the table because you're not exhibiting this right now. Wow. So if I don't come up to your standard, then
in my duties,
then there's nothing that can happen between us.
And I'm really hoping, and again, these are his words, but he says them extremely strongly, that this is not totally how he feels, because you can't place demands on another individual. I mean, you can place them on them, but to have the expectations that they live their life according to your so-called standards, where does their individuality come into play? And who do they become other than your server?
And there's no room in his thinking for a person's strength.
And it makes me think that there's no room for anybody else in his thinking.
Yeah.
Because it's all about him.
What if she just is not a good cook? There are many women who are not great cooks and who never learned to be great cooks.
Case in point, you take Katina to a place where the chef is a male.
Right.
Okay? He's a cook. How come you can't be that?
But he agrees to be that as long as I'm showing you what to do.
This is his J.O.B. You took it someplace where that's his J.O.B.
Yeah.
You paid him for that service. So you too can be that.
So I don't know whether or not he's going to let go of his expectation and truly be a partner in, understanding what she's good at, what she's not good at, versus what you're good at and what you're not good at, and you fill in the gaps for each other. That's what being other-centered is all
Because what he's showing now, what he's displaying now, is not that he doesn't have concern about what she's good at. He wants her to be good at what he wants her to be good at.
Exactly. So right now, I see that being a huge obstacle in their relationship. Noi and Steve.
Yay.
They got over their little hump. And she's the classic. Every season, there's one woman who gets all up in her feelings about him not actually saying "I love you" when she thinks he should be saying it. And here's our season 14 person, Noi, who said early on that she felt like she was falling in love, and he didn't respond in kind, and yet he has shown her enough through behavior how he feels about it.
Actions speak louder than words.
Because when she was with the girls and talking about,
what he does, how he is.
And when he showed his emotion behind how she hurt him by ghosting him, and she said,
recognized.
Exactly. He really loves me. Even though he hasn't said it yet, he really loves me. Well, if that's the case, why are we so making a big deal about him saying it?
Inflexible about hearing it. I mean, I understand, and don't get me wrong, anybody wants to hear those words.
But
it's not a breaking point.
Exactly.
If actions display how a person feels, and it makes you feel good about how they treat you.
And you recognize it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell yourself in the mirror, he loves me because he did this, and this.
Right.
And all of that being proof. But just because he doesn't say it, because for whatever reason, just like you may want to hear it just to feel the way you want to feel about it, about hearing it, he may be insecure about saying it because he may have said it to one or more of the wrong people where he got ghosted for saying it,
Right.
But
so, whatever the case may be, she said to fall in love, she needs someone who shows up for her in tough times, and that's how she knows when she's in love, when that person, is there for her. And when he displayed the pain that he felt and how she treated that situation, and still didn't leave her, and still didn't, shut her off, that demonstrated his being willing to stay in it, even during tough times. And
to me, that showed that she was observant and she understood where he was at with how he felt about what she did.
And for him, he said, when he feels a bond and when he feels trust and it makes him want to say, I love you, that's how he knows that he's in love with someone. And he ended the episode saying those three little words.
You are it.
You are it. That I love you. So, of course, that made her day. All right. Jasmine and Michael. Jasmina, right. Sorry. Jasmina and Michael. Okay, well, I thought it was very telling when he made the picnic for them got her dog all kind of gifts to show how much he's trying to bond with her dog.
And she acknowledged it.
Yes. And then he asked her, when we're having tough conversations, how should I communicate with you in a way that makes you feel comfortable? And in that little discussion, because she wasn't giving him any real specifics,
Details.
just discuss with me. Just discuss with me.
Yeah, just talk.
Well, to me, we discovered what she meant by that, because as that particular discussion kept going, and he started showing some emotion and
Passion.
about the fact that her response wasn't really giving him anything, and then she said words that I cannot stand. Again, as the only female growing up with brothers, it was very common, even now, as old as we are, it is very common that if I start showing some emotion, whether my voice raises, I have more inflection, I'm animated because we're having, a conflict or a heated discussion.
Calm
then
down.
Calm down. Just calm down. Why are you getting so excited? And to me, for me, those words are a way to, number one, deflect the discussion, okay? Because now I'm gonna take the focus off of the discussion because it's uncomfortable, and I'm gonna focus on you and make it about you and how you're reacting. And number two, to me, it trivializes a person's feelings. Like, there's something wrong with me getting animated or passionate or
Subject
intense.
matter, yeah.
Now, I'm not yelling, I'm not screaming, I'm not calling you out of your name, I'm not cursing you out. So in my mind, all of those things are showing that I'm being respectful, which is what she keeps saying. She doesn't want him showing any emotion.
Because she doesn't.
And to her,
She laughs.
that's being respectful.
Yeah. I mean, she would be a great therapist. Show no emotion, just respond to the question. No need to get excited. But
Stay monotone.
Yeah.
Stay right here.
yeah, that's
And that's discussing
we can get through it.
and staying respectful. Okay,
It's boring.
but still, that's your way.
Yeah.
Again, if I'm not screaming at you, if I'm not yelling at you, if I'm not calling you a B, if I'm not cursing you out, which is a way a lot of people
Yeah.
discuss
Communicate.
or argue, with someone who has a volatile like Lindsay.
Yeah.
If I'm not being a Lindsay, but I'm still getting excited, and you like right now, my voice has gone up. Okay, I'm still discussing. So that's the impasse for them.
Yeah.
Her idea of what discussion should be is an impasse, and that does not help him at all.
No.
Because you still not really giving me anything to go on how to make you comfortable. Look, some discussions are uncomfortable, and there's nothing that you can do to make them comfortable. That's the point of going deeper and talking about hard things.
Yeah,
It's not about making you comfortable.
Exactly.
It's about creating awareness and acceptance. And the fact that he can't be vulnerable with her is because she has not created a safe place for him to land,
Exactly.
to be vulnerable. She wants vulnerability, but she doesn't know how to help him feel comfortable about being vulnerable.
Well, I mean, she did something that allowed him to be vulnerable with her in their exercise in the gym.
Right. When she created the gym for him, which was cute.
And I hope she understands what it did for him.
Mm-hmm.
It gave him a release. It gave him an outlet, and it gave him an opportunity to express himself. Now, she didn't, demean it at all, but what I would hope that she does do is remember that he was vulnerable with her.
And how she created
That opportunity for him.
and space for him to feel okay to do that.
Which is why, to reiterate the fact that she has, I believe she has great therapeutic qualities, you know, in giving a person an opportunity to express themselves. But just because it becomes a personal conversation, that should not diminish how a person should still be able to express themselves, because it pertains to her, you know, and their relationship. It's just a matter of him displaying his passion and what he values.
And quit taking that personally.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like Noi said, this is how he grew up. This is what he's familiar with. This is how he has been able to communicate himself or express himself over the years, because it's been a long time since he has truly been able to express himself or chose to express himself,
Right.
which is why he hasn't been in a relationship in a while. And, you know, but now this is a different situation. He's married and he wants this. And yeah, he has learning to do. Everybody does. And
So does
regardless
she.
of how long you've been married, you're still going to be learning. So,
All right, our last couple, the most volatile of all, Lindsay and Mark.
thunder and lightning.
Oh my goodness. Now, when they first started out, they were at eating dinner and they weren't talking. They were sounding like we used to sound when we were in our silent fights.
Single syllable conversation.
Right. Still
Fine.
being cordial,
Yep.
but that's it. And when they started talking about the whole bowling alley thing, and he asked her if she felt she was out of line, and she said
No.
because Lindsay, again, uses words as fist fightings. And she, in standing up for herself, that's how she sees. If I'm lashing out at you to stand up for myself, which she was doing with Katina, again, even though that was all handled wrong on both ends, but she's standing up for herself. She sees that as strength. It doesn't matter how I say
Yeah.
it, what I say.
didn't back down.
I didn't back down. I stood up for myself, and you did not stand up for me. Instead, you accused me. And as he was trying to explain, she wasn't listening. She doesn't listen.
And that is the biggest issue that I'm seeing with her. She does not listen to what he says.
Right.
If she gives him the time to even express himself, because she'll ask a question, then she'll answer it. She'll ask a question, and if it's not coming out, you know,
If his answer isn't what she wants to hear.
yeah, she's moving on to another question, or she'll answer the question the way she wants it to be answered, and you're not meeting the expectations. That was a dolphin.
Oh, I see it.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys.
But
Back to y'all.
yeah, but she does not listen. She does not use the tool of listening to understand where he's coming from.
And you can't listen if you're already planning a rebuttal in your
you're
head.
always talking.
And you're, and she's only seeing it one way,
Yeah.
from her position, which at the time she doesn't think is wrong, although it is. How you deliver, how you talk, what you say is all wrapped up in good communication, and she doesn't see that as wrong.
And I forgot exactly what the word was because he explained it. He says, I say something that makes you upset or whatever the case may be, and you say something, how did it make him feel?
Like she was condescending.
But there was something else that he said as well that she's evidently not listening to.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very appropriate word.
I don't remember what
I
that
can't
was.
remember what-
Maybe you guys do. You can
Yeah.
tell us in your feedback what
And
that was.
Maybe it was my imagination. You can tell us that too.
But she doesn't feel like he appreciates her. And she always goes back to, how she took a day off of work to help him clean out his house and blah, 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 blah. And she's very giving and nurturing to
is.
him.
But she gives it all without asking what's needed.
Right.
Give. That's overwhelming.
Now, and it showed when they went out to dinner. When he took her to eat sushi, which he hates,
He hates.
but he did for her. And what was the first thing she said when she sat down?
I'm going to feed.
No, she
What?
was like, I can't wait to order this for you.
Yeah,
To order this such and such for you.
Oh, you need to
And
have.
he's like, yeah, you don't have to do
No, that's
that.
okay. That's okay.
She expends a lot of energy doing for him what she thinks he needs,
Yeah.
rather than finding out
What-
what is it that you need.
What you like, what you need, what you want. What is his desires? She
And-
has no idea.
And unfortunately, when you love somebody your way, when you are loving them hard your way,
There's no guarantee that they are feeling love.
exactly, because you're doing it through your perspective and through your definitions of love and not theirs.
And that's not to belittle your efforts. Your heart's in the right place. You want for this person. But they don't want that because that's not what makes them feel loved.
Right.
Your
Now,
partner does not feel loved by what you do until they say so. You can do all that you want, but if you're not doing what you need to do to make them feel loved, you're just doing gestures of
you
kindness.
right, and in our book, which we forgot to bring with us,
Sorry.
but there is a tip in there that says, love is not love until your spouse says so.
Yeah.
And real quick, my dad and my mom and dad tell a story in that book about they were married like 10 years.
Yeah.
And my mom wakes up, my dad's not in the bed. She goes to look for him. He's sitting at his desk with his head in his hands, and she, calls his name. He doesn't respond. Call his name again, doesn't respond. And then she's like, "What's the matter?" And he said, "You don't love me." And she was about to jump out her skin. What in the world does that mean?
And
I don't love you. We've been married 10 years. I
Yeah.
married you with 3 children, blah, 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 blah. This is all in her head.
Yeah.
But she forced herself to be
To suppress
quiet
it. And just listen.
and listen to what he was
said.
saying. And the gist of it was, you love me hard your way.
Yeah.
You're not giving me what I need to feel loved.
But let me just back up at one point. When he said, "You don't love me," that like, because it wasn't instantaneous that she said, "Well, let me listen to this man." Because he said after that, that you don't love me. And then he said, "You've never loved me."
Oh, that's right. And that
And
really,
That's what made her stop, because again,
Right.
that was so abrupt. Again, after giving 10 years of your life to a person that you believe you've given everything to in the most abstract. Matter of fact, their union is almost as abstract as married at first sight.
almost.
Almost. So when he says, "You don't love me,"
In fact,
you've never loved me.
can you imagine? But when she
said,
chose to be quiet
"I have to listen to this
and
man
listen,
just to find out what it is behind him saying what he's saying at this venture in our life."
right. And as such, he was in school studying for his doctorate, and and this is when the whole idea of love styles came up. And he had taken some tests to show what his love style was. And when she agreed to take those tests, they discovered that their love styles were indeed different, that there was commonalities there, but their primary love styles were different. And this is what he needed. And this is way before love languages and all that stuff that we have now. But this is what he needed to feel loved. And this is what she needed to feel loved. He needed togetherness.
Yeah.
My mom is a doer.
Yeah.
She's running around
she
doing
was a Lindsay.
forever. She was a Lindsay
Just
without
had
the
better
volatility.
talk. She knew how to communicate.
No volatility there, but she was a doer. So I serve you, I clean for you, I cook for you, I take care of the kids, I do this, I help you out. I'm a true helpmeet.
Olajuwon would have been happy.
Okay, but my dad didn't want her doing all this
That
stuff
doesn't
all
matter.
the time.
That didn't matter to him. Not that it didn't matter, but that wasn't what
That
made
him
him
feel loved. He felt loved when she sat with him
Together time.
and
Quality time.
quality
Just
time
sharing
together,
each other's
talking and sharing space, which is hard if you're the mother of 5 children and you
Yeah.
taking care of
to
the house.
find time.
But they had to find a way to bridge their styles together so that he could get what he needed and she could get what she needed, and realizing that that's not going to be 100% 24/7. But don't think that what you're doing all over here is feeding me.
Yeah.
And that's what they had to learn, and that's what Lindsay and Mark have to learn. And of course, Lindsay said to fall in love, she needs a person, and this is interesting, who is consistently present, doesn't abandon or withdraw from her, especially in conflict. And that's what she feels like Mark does, is withdraw and abandon her in conflict.
Because even in her conflict, she wants resolution as quickly as possible to not have to deal with this again, as opposed to dealing with it at a different time, maybe a more appropriate time, or whatever she feels now is the best time. And that's not always the case, because a public display of whatever isn't necessary.
Nastiness.
Yeah, that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully all these couples are going through similar issues of communication and not understanding each other's love style in order to be able to show love in a way that each person can receive it and feel like they're loved. And so if that's a situation you're going through, we do encourage you. There's so many tests out there now that show your personality styles, your love style, and which will kind of give you a hint as to how connected you can be, or what the obstacles may be.
True, and you may be enlightened about yourself.
Right.
So don't be intimidated by trying out some of the tests that are available.
Exactly. And
That's how I got hurt.
and that's a whole different story.
Totally different story.
But on that note, we will say that we'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
No, it won't be the same place because we won't be on the beach.
This is true, but same place in the video.
Yeah.
And
Here.
we hope you stay safe. We're going to stay safe. And as I say, peace out. We're heading to the beach.
Yes. Enjoy.